We're going to change gears a little bit once again and start to talk a little bit about how to start relationship, even in the midst of a crisis. It might seem odd to suggest that we can start a relationship in just a few seconds, but if you think about it, every relationship we have starts with very quick impressions. If you are married or with somebody and have been for a long time, think back to the very first moment you ever met them and how those initial impressions paid dividends or made a big difference in terms of how you would later on relate to that individual. If you had very good positive impressions early on, it was a motivator to continue the relationship. And if you didn't, chances are that person had to fight quite hard to undo some of those early conceptions. It's truly impossible for us to encounter another person and not begin to draw conclusions, even with the most basic of information. For example, think about when somebody tells you an individual's name, and even if you haven't met that individual, how it starts to shape your conceptions. If I tell you somebody's name is Steve or somebody's name is Nermal, chances are you're going to have two very different pictures in your head of who they might be later on, even though it's quite possible that those conceptions are not accurate. A lot of times people say to me that starting a relationship in the midst of a crisis is not possible or not a good idea. And I would counter to say it's one of the best times that we can possibly start a relationship. If you think about it, people who have some of the closest relationships are often people who've been through the wars together. Sometimes literally, people, for example, who fought in wars together in the same foxholes. But they may be people who are even through other sort of less intense battles, for example, being teammates who fought towards a championship, or people who've experienced crisis as colleagues at work or in a family. And we actually really value people who come to our aid and work well with us during crisis. And so it can be a very lasting thing for us to start off by supporting a person effectively through troubling times. Working with a partner or small group, brainstorm some concrete behaviors that you use to establish rapport with a person, even if they're agitated. And remember, your aim is to initiate relationship in this exercise, not just do things that will help to keep people safe or to keep the peace. And again, the emphasis is on concrete behaviors. So think about what you do that is actually going to be described as an action. Things you say, the way you present your body, the way your body language and paraverbal communication makes a difference. What specific things, what you'll probably find as you do this exercise, is that these are kind of small actions, but they can make a big difference. So take about 2 minutes and then talk with a partner about that.